There we go. I don't know why it changes out the settings once in a while, but it does. So, back down here, as I was saying, you can maybe tell with how I was motioning, screen is in front of me here, and then, well, the camera's over here today, as well as the Yeti microphone, so hopefully it picks up the audio okay when I'm talking this way. Looks like it should. But yeah, that's because we are tackling Stars of Akarios. This is a massive adventure space game that, well, I can do that and show you kind of how much space it takes up. That is not everything. There are ships and cards up above the top that I'll likely be walking up to grab when I need to, because there's just too much stuff for me even to be able to reach it. So I'm trying a couple different things to give player board shot here, as well as then the main board shot. But I mean, that's kind of the hope for how this is going to work, how this is going to stream. Have a Negroni tonight for my drink. And, well, we have to start here with character setup. So we're going to see if I do that one. We have the character board here. I'm going to move our giant ship out of the way so it's blocking less light. Now let's finish going through setup here. There are a few things to do. Move you guys out of the way. Starting over here, where we need to come up with our squad name. They are the Dandelions. And we have our two characters, Garden and Violet Ray. So we're just going to put down DL so we know the squad that it's with. And call sign is for Garden, it will be Simba. And for Violet Ray, let's go with Aslan. So, first one, second one. If I could spell. That's obviously the most important thing to take care of right away. Not really. But we have more setup to do at this point. We need to find our system. Get that out in front of us. Get those cards put back. Then, what's H? So, over here, there should be two event cards for the system, Draconium system, which we will get to when we're asked to. So that is for kind of this big ship's setup. Then we're going to set up the characters. So I picked out the starting characters. I have their modifier decks all shuffled. And then, so pilot. And everything we had set up our shield. Shield here is 5, hull of 2. So if damage goes through, it's going to hit hard, but it has to get through the shield. We don't have much in the way of hull on the Gnosis. And then a token for the stress. For Garden, it's kind of the flip. 8 on the hull, so the green track. And then 1 shield and start with no stress. Alright, let's grab a drink. As we continue, and there should be level 1 pilot abilities. Oh, we have some modifiers in there. What was the monster deck? Enemy. Perfect. Set that off to the side. So, Violet Ray, level 1 ability. Exploit 1 to extra damage when she has advantage. And Giarden, when your attack deals... If your attack deals no damage, then lose 1 stress. Which is good, because that kind of helps keep that modifier deck in check. So I reach across here. Okay, because we also start with a weapon and an engine ability. And we pick those from the first 4. So for weapons, we have here EMP Blast, which has an effect on it that I'll look up in a second here. But basically ways to boost what you can do. Or you have ones with specific kind of attack patterns on them. It's like burst fire, or long shot, or proton blast. do Proton Blast over to Garden and his ship. And I think I want a long shot here for Violet Ray and Gnosis. Then the rest of these cards can be bought at a later time, plus there's a whole lot more. So we drop those back into the deck and look at the moves we have. So we have Bank here, which allows you to basically move like so in an arc on the grid facing the same way. Barrel Roll, which allows you to move a little bit forward. Flank, which allows you to get behind the enemy and turn around. And Burn and Flip. I think I want to do Flank for Garden and Burn and Flip for Violet Ray. So then we return those, and at this point in time, the fun thing is we're gonna have a little bit of setup to do for our first mission, but we have story. And let's switch over here. You can see all the story over here. Our objective: eliminate all enemy ships before they destroy the satellite. The briefing room is full of chatter amongst the various cliques present. It's an uncomfortable mixture of experienced pilots and trainees, and a blend of different species of the United Intergalactic Alliance. While you scan the room, you recognize a friendly face, a medallion named Soul. He nods to you with his familiar grin. Welcome to the big time. Don't mess this up or I won't get to see you looking this uncomfortable at next briefing. There are smiles all around at the gentle ribbing. Someone congratulates him on his promotion to lieutenant when you're cut off. Captain Soma's entrance isn't dramatic or loud, but her presence brings an end to the chatter in the room. Attention! Snaps Captain Soma in her stern Celestian accent. She has no patience for anything less than complete attention. The younger pilots have only ever seen her on news clips. The iron command in Soma's voice stops them cold. When your CO is present, idle chatter ends. Perhaps some of you require more time in training. She looks pointedly at the recruits who had failed to notice her arrival, and they sink down in their chairs. Not paying attention here and now will cost you out there. And not just you, it could cost the lives of others in this room. She doesn't have to single anyone out this time. I expect conduct that is appropriate of a graduate going forward. You know what it means to be an Akarios Institute graduate, don't you? Yes, Commander, the room replies as one. The best of the best, Soma comments as she turns to the board, the slightest hint of a smile at the corner of her mouth. Today we will introduce students to live flight tests. You'll be doing simulations typical for established pilots. Assessment will be done by the senior pilots in this room who will monitor from Medalia. As with all and technically this is on the board, our ship is here, And to interact with 101 would have cost us 1 supply, I believe. But that's a distraction. Something I realized I was supposed to have done. It will matter more later with space exploration, but right now it doesn't matter so much. As with all your tests, you will be reviewed on technical knowledge, problem-solving abilities, and strategic acumen. Soma continues, her tone now a touch softer. You will have to work together without assistance of a superior officer. I will be in orbit with a small crew aboard the Sparrow. We will be there to pick you up in case of emergency. There's a collective intake of breath from around the room. To be monitored by an officer is one thing, but to be assessed by Captain Soma herself is something entirely different. If there are no further questions, you all have your flight times. First group, proceed to the loading hangar, get ready for takeoff. Your flight group is headed toward a crewed station that is to be Destination A for training when some hostile units show up or show themselves on the radar. A rattled voice is heard over the radio. Is this part of the simulation, or are those real enemy ships? The Ronin are known to refit any ship that they can get their hands on. However, these are models that the richest guilds have made for themselves, the richest and most cutthroat. Immediately, Saul reaches out. Pilots, this is not a test. This is the real thing. It looks as though someone hired Ronin mercenaries to attack our satellites. We don't have time to scramble fighters, so it's up to you. Captain Soma continues in her steady tone. Don't worry, you're not alone. Rendezvous with the Sparrow at the coordinates. Stay close so that we can support you. Let's play it safe, cadets. So there are some special rules for this scenario. Hey, welcome, Studio Lanniston. The first one is enemies are at disadvantage when they attack a pilot within 4 spaces of the Sparrow. The Sparrow does not act and cannot be targeted. The satellite A is going to have 20 health, and enemies can target the satellite. So let's get this set up. Is this one that you have back to Studio Lanniston? Alright, so to start, we need 3 groups of asteroids. So, nice. Have you played it much? I think, yeah, I remember you were there for the unboxing and were giving and filling in some information for me on it. Then everything needs to, that needs to shift up 1, shift up 1, shift up 1, I'm off by 1 there. Okay, I'm off by 1 somewhere else. as well. That looks right. That looks right. There. That looks right. Prologue. So same spot that I'm kind of working at right now. We can have our ships anywhere out on this main board, and we mark our ships as ours. This, and we can orient them any direction. I think I want to do that. And then let's do that and get out our enemy ships. So we have 2 Ronin Scout, and I'm not going to be using their stands. We have more than 2 Ronin Scout. We just have Ronin Scout. But the base is going to show what direction they're facing. And that is our initial setup here. Sometimes you track rounds, sometimes you don't. And in this case, we're not tracking rounds for this mission. Our goal, take these guys out before they take out A. And I'm actually going to stand up here and grab a die to use as a hit point tracker. Years of playing Magic the Gathering gives me nice spin down dice here. So that is set to 20. I need to move. Actually, let's just do that so we can almost see everything. We can see that we're missing something over here with our enemy boards. And so we are going for our Ronin Scouts. They have 2 base attack, as well as then 6 hull that we have to deal with, and they will go in, activate in ascending order numerically. So number 1, 2, 3, 4 will all go off of their cards. Shuffle up their attack deck, and I'll show off cards here with a close-up here in a second. But we get to act first. So if I do that. We are down to the player board. And you can see I have 4 dice here. These 4 dice are going to get rolled, and I will assign them to various actions. So we have 3 of the 4 symbols, the 4th being this one here, which is a wild card. That can be either attack or move. This one is also a wild, but it increases our stress track. And at 3, 7, or 3, 5, 7, and 10, we add misses to our deck. All right. So, we've rolled for Violet Ray. We're going to roll here quick for Garden. And I can now spend these actions in whatever order. If you're playing with multiple players, you can actually do it simultaneously as long as you're not kind of going over locations. So, I forgot to do, need some cubes here. For supplies, we have limited uses per each combat of our special engine and weapon cards, as well as then with the proximity exploit. So I'd like to end up in a situation where I have advantage. So, spending the dice here, can spend. Okay, so I can spend this one here on that spot to rotate my ship. I can do it 120 degrees. So basically think I can go 2. Let me get back up here. So I could turn it like that, that. Basically it prevents me from turning all the way around. But if I go from straight forward here and I rotate off to this side, I can then use this one, which raises my stress, to go 1, 2, 3, 4, flip, and because I used one of those stress ones, it allows me to rotate. Otherwise, this is very positional in what you're doing. Now, I can spend both of these on my long shot attack if I want, which I think I want to do. I want to see if I can take out the ship. It has 6 health. Of course, forgot to put in health cubes for the enemy ships. Escaping. At 6, no shield. And what I do is I look at the attack amount, 3, flip 1, and I have to make sure I actually shuffled these. It is a small deck that is tricky to shuffle. So I want to spend a little bit extra time making sure I got a good shuffle in. So, Studio Laniston, when you played the prologue, did you play, how many characters did you control? Or did you do it purely solo or multiple ships? Or did you play with people? So, first to what we flip here. -2 and a 0. It is a 3 damage on ship 2. So Scout ship 2 takes 3 damage. It's down to 3 health left. Those stay here. We don't reshuffle until we hit like a miss or a critical, at which point we would reshuffle. So just one ship, pure solo. I think it's definitely doable purely solo. It looks like they have it scale well. I'm also not sure that it's so complex that I can't handle 2 ships, but we'll see here in a second. So we have move. Okay. So I'm going to try using the... Let me swap over here. Actually, let's see if I can do this wholesale. Beep, 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 beep. There we go. We'll take a second every time, but not too bad. So I'm looking to get behind either of these ships. This one is pointed at me, so I'd have to end up in this spot to be behind it. And my move is 1, 2, 3, boom, boom, facing this way. So I'm going to spend with a stress to go 1, 2, 3, boom, boom, and then because I use that die, I can rotate up to 2 spaces, and then I have to decide how I want to use this. So this is a wild. I can use it for anything, and I have to use 2 dice on this attack. I can hit 2 in range, but the range only goes up to 4 and then cuts back kind of right around here. Don't know that there's any way. I don't think there's any way I can get 2 in there. So I'm just going to attack number 4. And we have radar jam that we're doing on that attack. Oh, I guess I forgot that we have pierce. Pierce on this one. This is going to be the big thing I have to remember to swap. So pierce here doesn't do anything because they don't have shield. Radar jam will do something because it basically gives them disadvantage on their attack. Granted, if we were in 4 of the Sparrow, 1, 2, 3, 4, so we're out of that range, they would have disadvantage anyways. We will launch an attack there with advantage. Oh, and I forgot that I spent for exploit, which means that one is actually down to 2 health. Unfortunately, I couldn't deal with 1 more attack. But yeah, I had nothing. I have a move that was left for this one, which just isn't... Yeah, not really worth it to spend that move. Or I don't even have that move. I was looking at the wrong one here. So 2 times 2, so 4. 4 damage on number 4. Also down to 2. Because we got that critical, we shuffle. And I have 1 left. I can blast forward, get a little bit more distance. I could peel off, get here. Or I could just not move. I could not use that at all. I think I can use it down here to reduce my stress by 2. I'll just do that to keep that under control. And then we have the enemy activation. So down here, I'm going to just set it there. It gives us an idea of what the enemy is going to do. The enemy is going to, starting with 1 here, rotate, and then try and attack in this shape. That just misses. So then we follow this flowchart of, does it hit? The answer is yes. It moves. It's no. So it's going to rotate, or it's going to move. And it moves 1, 2, turn. And then, if it needs to rotate, it would rotate, but it doesn't. It is going to attack our poor Garden. Aha, all dice to be used. I did not realize that, so we'll return the stress. I kind of thought it seemed a little bit too good to just be able to use 1 die to keep stress in check. What was I looking at on here? Don't remember. Oh, special rules. It's not within 4 of the sparrow. So it's just going to be a regular attack. And we have a modifier deck specifically for the enemy. And here we go. I have to remember that number 4, when they act, has been radar jammed. So this attack is a +0 based off of the enemy's attack modifier, which is 2. And so then -1, that just takes out Garden's shield. Garden shield. I'm going to pronounce his name differently every time. Then this one is going to look to see who's the closest here. This is also an option to be closest. Rotate 1, 2. Let's see, they were facing this way, so 1, 2. Look and see, do they have anybody within range? The answer is no. Because, again, it's this shape. Wow. Keep on forgetting to change. It is this area right here. So they're going to go 1, 2, turn, and then rotate to get ship in the blast area. Oh, there's an effect. So this one, it pushes. If it deals damage, it's going to push. So here, still not in range 4. So -1, only 1 damage to Violet Ray and the Gnosis. And we're going to flip these over just so we can see them a little bit better down here on the player boards. And it's going to push it away by 1. Then we now look at number 3 here. Number 3, determining priority, looks to see what attackable object is closer. This one is closer. It can rotate if it wanted to, but instead can't attack 1, 2, 3 to get here, and then within that kind of bubble area can hit the satellite for 2. Number 4 looks to rotate first. They were there. 1, 2. They can hit +0, knock that down by 2. Then we go to the next round. And I'm going to pop back down here. Discard the enemy card. Remove the dice from where they were used. And roll them. So it's worth noting, like as we look at this attack card, there's the base attack of 2, a modify or like a range of 2. I forgot to flip the extra one for number 4 there, who was radar jammed. And so right now we have a photon blast that can hit 2 of the enemies, no problem. Though I'm wondering here, I don't think I can quite get all 3, but I can get into a position where I'd be behind at least one of them, but I don't need to. Yeah, well, we'll see what we get here with both of them. Ooh, ton of move and 1 wild versus this is a bunch of move and stress. So stress I need to find in the modifiers now. I want the ×2, but that's not what I'm looking for. A miss is going to get shuffled into Garden's deck. So you can get the card, because of stress, you shuffle it in immediately. Oh, can I even actually do this? I guess I can go 1, 2, 3, boom, boom. I end up facing that way. Then, actually that might help me. Yeah, I can hit all of them now. Spending those 2. Radar jamming all of them. They are not immune to it. So, let's move the enemy modifier deck off the board. Starting with number 1 here. Number 1 hasn't taken any damage. Number 1 goes down 2. I could hit all of them, but I can't actually hit all of them. And I forgot, flip with advantage. I can hit 2 targets. Yep. Yeah, I'm spending stress dice. And so then number 4 gets hit for 3 or 3. That takes it off the map. Alright, we don't need that much damage on the enemy, which is good for Violet Ray. Well, let me swap here so you can see what I'm doing with hers. So, I rotated, and I'm going to use the burn and flip. So we flop, switch back over. 1, 2, 3, 4, flip. Then, it's actually okay. I can only do this anyways, but I do have an advantage, which means I flip 2. Of course, both are -1s, so I do 0, except I spend for proximity exploit when I have advantage to deal 1 additional damage. And I have 1 die left that honestly I can't do much with. I don't really need the movement at this point, so I'm just going to leave it, and then enemies will activate. I'm going to put the enemy card out here this time. It's fairly similar to what it did last time. So the enemy is going to rotate, and starting with 1, can rotate 2, 1, 2. Cannot shoot here, the closest to it. So it's going to try and move, which means if we set this up, it would try and move directly into his spot, which it can't do. It would then rotate again, and it deals +1 to 1 target. So 3 damage. And I forgot to do one thing here. Forgot to regenerate shield. At the start of the round, you regenerate shield. So 1, 2, 3 allows kind of that shield on the players to regenerate. You don't normally do it on the enemy ships, but there could be special rules that allows it to happen. Number 2 is going to rotate. 1, 2. And we'll be able to get the Gnosis and Violet Ray in its attack. So it is going to just attack at that point with disadvantage because of proximity to the Sparrow, which I don't really need because I got a -2. So that is 1, hits the shield for 1. That's it. Number 3 is still closest to the satellite. It doesn't need to rotate. Flip. That's just a straight up miss. So enemy deck reshuffles. And you know the drill at this point. We go back into another round of combat. Number 2 is sitting there with 1 health left. 3 is at full health, and 4, well, 4 is off the map. 1 is at half health. So, grab the dice. I'm going to roll them out here on the board. Stress, attack, wild, stress. For Violet Ray. And move, attack, wild for Gerdon. Violet Ray needs to finish off the guy that's in her way. So we're just going to... Do I have to rotate? No, I do not have to rotate. I can spend 2 dice here. 2 dice to be able to do an attack of 2 damage. That is enough to get 2 off of the board. Now, I have 2 ones that give me stress. I'm going to rotate. And then I'm just going to go up on that, just the normal way, move 3 spaces forward. That gets me set up in a decent position for next round. Of course, I'm now at 3 stress, so I gain an extra miss for my deck. Nice thing is stress will reset, so it's kind of like the curses in Gloomhaven. They're there for the battle, and then they go away. Same thing for the extra criticals, if you did something to do that, but so everything's been done for Violet Ray. So we look at what Ronin can do. One, two, three, boom, boom. Can get both. So 1, 2, 3, boom, boom. I'll have one more use of flank left after this. I then rotate 1, 2 spots, and then I'll have one last use of photon after this, dealing damage. Make sure that shouldn't have reshuffled yet. Should not have. With advantage on number 1, so 2 cards, a 0, and a net -2, so I knock it down by 2 more health. It is at 2, and then just a regular attack on number 3. First attack on that, 1 health down on number 3. That's going to be our turn. Now, the Ronin Scouts go. It is really interesting with kind of all the tactics of how you place your ships around the board. So Ronin Scouts, they're going to try and rotate. 1, 2. It can attack 2 to either side of it, which means it'll be able to hit Garden, but with disadvantage. So we draw 2, take the lower of the 2. So 1 damage to Garden. I forgot to bump up shields again. So no damage actually goes to Garden's hull. Number 3 is going to look to attack. There's no way for it to angle itself onto the satellite for the attack. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, rotate twice, and attack, which is gotta miss again. Shuffle that up. Down to 2 enemies. 1 is so close to dead at this point. I mean, yeah, number 1, as well as one of the ships. The other one, definitely a little bit more to think about. Gonna roll for Violet Ray. Move, attack, and stress. Stress being, of course, something you can use the wild again. And then attack, wild, and stress for Garden. So we're going to start by rotating. Oh, can I actually get in position? Okay, I have to think this one through because of how I'm going. So I could do a regular move, which is 1. So if I rotate 1, 2. Okay, I can rotate 2 and just point there. For some reason I was thinking I didn't have that option. Then taking another stress, but makes the attack base 3. And this is not with advantage. I'm not behind the enemy ship. But that still hits for 5 on number 3. And they had taken 1 damage out of their 6. So that is enough to take them off the board. Now it's just going to be down to Garden and his attacks. I need to do 1 damage. So we're doing a base 2 basic attack. -1. Doesn't matter. I hit it for... Oh no, I needed to hit it for 2. Well, I hit it for 1. Now I have to gain another stress and attack again and hit it for 3 that time. So that is going to be enough to take out that last ship. And I mean that's the basics of space combat. So we ended up with some stress, our shields, everything. Didn't actually take, or no, we took a couple hits to the hull for Garden. But now we get to read the victory. It takes a few seconds to sink in once the last Ronin ship is gone. Such is the adrenaline coursing through you. Your anxiety swings to jubilation. As a result, you don't immediately notice the call over the radio. Cadets, to the Sparrow, post haste. We have a problem. Cadets, acknowledge. So, I actually do want a pencil for this. Where did I stick the pencil? Stuck one over here, so I remember. We have a few things. Both of them are now at 5 credits. And we get to equip a tech upgrade. So, let's see, my guess is this stack of cards. Nope, that stack of cards. So tech upgrade 1 through 6. There's 2 of each of them. So we have repair. Anything must fix to hull, looks like. Let me pop down. Come on. Almost. Trying to be too dainty while using that mouse. So we have repair. And that can be used by R or C ones, not by A or H. We have cloak, which can be used by S, so we don't have any S-class ships. We have radar jam, which allows us basically to jam somebody we attack. That can be used on S and C, so all of these so far can be on the Gnosis. We have shield recharge. Use it to boost back up our shield. That could be used on the Gnosis or on the Argonaut, we have Ion. That is going to do, that symbol is slow. So we'll have to look up and see precisely what slow does. Come on. Give me the symbols. Should just be a page full of these symbols somewhere. I hope. There we go. 22. Slow. The target is unable to move or use engine upgrades on their next action phase, but may still rotate and attack. Well, that's not bad. Actually, we're going to slot that in for Garrison. And the final one is Lock, which is target lock. Which can be used by the Gnosis. Could also have been used by the Argonaut. But the lock let's see. Where's that symbol? Is it on? It's not on the previous page. The next page. When an enemy ship attacks an enemy, or when a ship attacks an enemy with target lock, they have advantage. Oh yeah. That's great for when you have exploit. So drop that onto the shipboard. Tech upgrades complete. I'm going to slot that back into the tray. And then the big thing too is you reset a lot of your supplies, things like that. Stress goes back down. And both of them received an extra miss. So I'm looking for the miss in both their decks that doesn't have their character number on it. So not a bad first battle. Not a bad one at all. We have to read the conclusion. And from what I know, there's going to be a question here to maybe decide on the next thing I do in this. I was watching a whole bunch of gameplays today and stuff like that over the past few days so that I would have an idea of what I needed to do here or how to play. The rules are good enough, but it's nice to see it on the table. I kind of learned by watching and by doing that way versus always reading through all the rules, especially if I'm just reading through them. Your ship turns back to join the Sparrow, and in the distance, flashes of light catch your eye near Medelia. One after another, an armada of huge Rathan capital ships enters orbit near the planet. Then more distant flashes. Weapons fire? The Sparrow promptly issues its commands. Cadets, get back here now. Medelia is under attack, and it's not going well. We're leading the retreat. Surely there's time to fight back? Go to choice. So the choice we have is regroup with the Sparrow or ignore the sparrow and go to Medelia. So that's going to be the choice that I leave for us tonight, is which way do we want to go? Do we want to regroup with the sparrow? Something that I don't really know much of anything about. I saw more with the other one, ignore the sparrow and go to Medelia. But that's going to be something that I'm going to leave for you in the comments. Leave a comment whether or not you want me to regroup. You could use regroup as the word you put in there, or ignore. And when I post this tomorrow on Nerdologists, nerdologists.com, I'll throw in a straw poll that you can vote for which option you want, as whether or not we're going to regroup, again, following the orders, going back to the sparrow, or if we're going to go and try and help Medelia and ignore the command that we were given. But that's the question. Question for next time. So, as I take the sparrow off of its base, so I can close up this table. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was fun to see Stars of Akarios. There are definitely starting to get to be some playthroughs out there, and hopefully this is an enjoyable one that kind of teaches elements of the game as I go along. But if you enjoy this content, if you enjoy the live stuff that I do, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to know when I go live, please subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell. It should let you know when I go live. And next Monday, my plan, I think, had been to do a top 10 list, but I just got shipping confirmation for Etherfields, wave 2. I had it all shipped in one wave, so this is going to be a chance to unbox all of that, theoretically, on next Monday. So join me then, and that's most likely going to be the plan. But, like I said, thank you so much for listening. The Negroni is gone. Maybe I can get a little sip left. So, bottoms up.